My next guest has got a new opponent. He's going to be taking on Kevin Holland coming up here at UFC Fight Night on December 5th. It is the Joker, Jack Hermansson, back here on the program. Jack, how's it going?
It's going great, my man. Good to be back. And new opponent, Kevin Holland.
Well, let's start there because I think a lot of people were surprised to see you fight Kevin Holland, but I understand you had a number of opponents turn you down. First, let's start with when did you find out that Till was out of the fight? Did you ever get a reason? I believe it was injury related.
Yeah, this Friday, I got the call that Till was injured. And I believe it was his knee again, if I'm correct. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I heard. So it really, really sucks because I was looking forward to that fight so much, and I've been visualizing fighting Till every single day. We're working so hard, for that southpaw stance, for his style. So much work going into it, and suddenly, he's out. But it's a part of this sport. We know it can happen, and I never pulled out of a fight actually, but someday it might be my turn if I'm unlucky. So no hard feeling against Darren, but towards the other guys in the division, I'm ranked number 4, and I'm just, I'm just under that title contention, man, and people don't want to fight me in the rankings. So we need to step out and find that guy, Kevin Holland there. So I'm happy I have a fight at least. So.
Yeah, no, I'm just glad to see you still get a fight because I know, you don't want to remain that inactive. I know you had your fight not that long ago, but I'm sure you wanted to get a couple fights in this year. So kudos to you because I don't know a lot of fighters who would take this fight, to be honest, Jack, with, he's unranked. Holland, I mean, Holland really should be ranked, but still, it's a risky fight for you in that sense. The big thing was just keeping active, though, is my understanding.
Yeah, exactly. I was hoping to be fighting earlier this year, and then because I was set up to fight Chris Weidman, and then Corona came, and Weidman pulled out, and then I fought Gastelum, so at least I have one fight. But I like to fight often, and at least one more fight this year. I really need that, and especially with the work that went into this camp. I just felt like so empty when I lost that fight, and I need the opponent to fill that hole, I love to stay active, and I want to end this year with one more win, so I'm happy that I got the opponent.
Like I mentioned there, apparently 5 opponents turned you down. Is that accurate? And I'm sure those are all ranked guys that don't want to fight you. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm not gonna mention any names, but you know who you are out there, and even guys that called me out, and suddenly they don't want to fight me. I don't understand that.
Yeah, well, one of those names, I mean, obviously don't want to reveal anything, but I mean, one of those names we mentioned you were supposed to fight already. I'm surprised that wasn't a fight that ended up coming up. But again, not going to mention any names here. Just it's just disappointing, I think, because like you said, you're ranked number 4. You're coming off a huge win over Calvin Gastelum. I think you're 5-1 in your last 6, with just the one loss to Cannonier, right? So, I mean, that's who wouldn't want to fight you, right? In terms of the ranking and everything. So, yeah, I'm sure you thought once you signed with the UFC this wouldn't happen, but with fighters turning fights down, but I guess it still does, right?
Yeah, it's real. So that's disappointing, but it's out of my control, and it was either to back off and go into December and Christmas and everything without a fight in my body. I couldn't do that. I just need a fight right now. It's just a mental thing for me, to get in there and fight. And I'm 32 years old. I'm in my prime. I'm not going to sit on a chair and wait for opportunities. You never know. Next year it might be my turn to injure myself, and I need to wait a whole year without a fight. You never know what's going to happen. So I want to stay active, and so let's do this.
So, and then even before all this happened, we found out about, Jan Blachowicz fighting Israel Adesanya. I know it's not 100% official, but it looks like that's the direction they're going in. How surprised were you to hear that they announced that before your fight? Because I think a lot of people looked at your fight and said that, this is a contender's fight here. And now it sort of loses its value in the sense that it looks like Adesanya's moving up.
Yeah, it's all good if Adesanya wins the fight.
Right.
I just don't hope that he goes up and loses, and because he's undefeated, and want to fight him as at his best, not when somebody else beat him before that. But if he should win, and be a double champ, I would love to fight that guy. So yeah, if you can make it happen, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. I got a lot of grief on, I did a video when they announced the Adesanya and Blachowicz fight, and I said, look, I think this is a bad idea. Adesanya's got 2 title defenses. I know that this is sort of a super fight, but there's still a lot of contenders in the division. And I brought your name up, Jack, and I said, look, if Jack beats Darren Till, he's going to be 6-1 in his last 7 fights. And I got so much hate by all the YouTube commenters saying, how could you say that, Jack? I think people underestimate you, Jack. Do you get that sense as well? Like you submitted Gaslam in the first round. I know you had the loss to Cannoneer, but even before that, you had the win over Jacare Souza. Like, do you feel like you're maybe one of the most overlooked fighters in the division?
Yeah, definitely, man. Out of all of my wins, in the UFC, I have 5 first round finishes. If I get a hold of a guy, it's basically over. And when some people, they take people down, they lay on them, and it's a boring fight. When I get people to the ground, you should start to count down, because the fight is going to be over soon. And who else like that has Adesanya fought? I'm definitely the biggest threat to Adesanya in the division. I'm 100% sure of that. And I hope the fans will realize that and get excited about that fight.
Well, I think from a style perspective as well, Adesanya really hasn't fought a ground specialist like you before, at least in the UFC. So, is that sort of what you mean by that you're a bad matchup for him in that sense, that if you can't get this to the ground, it would be a little bit interesting to see what his ground game's like?
Yeah, exactly. It's even though he is probably all right on the ground, but if you have a guy like that with a striking background, he chooses to have all his fights in a stand-up. That tells me that he's not a ground fighter, and I am, and I'm 100% sure that if I get him down, he's going to be in trouble. There's no doubt in my mind, and I think he knows that, and I think he likes that challenge as well. So I don't think Adesanya will back down to that fight. I think he wants it, and he has mentioned it before, and he was eager to fight Cannoneer, but now he lost. And he has been telling media that he's not very excited about Whittaker. So, but Whittaker can get his shot. I don't mind, but late next year I should be fighting for that title. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk about the implications in a second here, but let's talk about Kevin Holland here. He's been on a roll. He's actually trying to break a UFC middleweight record here by getting 5 straight wins in a calendar year, which would be very impressive. We know he's got great stand-up, but we know as well he's got some good ground game. However, just a couple fights ago, Brendan Allen submitted him. So stylistically, how do you look at this fight?
Yeah, I think that Kevin Holland is a very all-round fighter. He do have some great skills on the ground. I think the problem for him is when he gets tired. That's when he starts to make mistakes, and I'm a cardio machine, and but also I'm also able to finish fights in the first round. So I think it's gonna be tough for him, because I'm gonna push the pace through that fight, and it's his first 5-rounder as well. And if you've never fought a 5-rounder before, it's gonna be a special treat, because it's something else, man. It's a whole different story to go into those two last rounds.
How much have you had to switch things up in your camp? I mean, it's only been a few days, but Colin's a lot different than Darren Till, right? Like, have you had to make many adjustments?
Yeah, I haven't. Right now, I've been just finding back to my regular style and so on, because the Darren Till game plan was super specialized in terms of how I was gonna move, and his southpaw stance and everything like that. And now, we're not gonna add loads to the game, because it's just a couple of weeks more of training. But it's gonna be a little bit different for sure. But I think I have what it takes, and it's already in my body. So I'm just going to go in there and do my thing.
Who have you been getting to work with in terms of training partners? I don't know what the COVID situation's like. Is training, fairly decent at this point in terms of, when you can train and all that?
No, it's still pretty restricted. So elite players can train in contact sports, but we do have to be very careful. So I'm only with a really, really small group of guys. So we're not like a huge team like we usually are. We're just like a small group training together. But that's all that I need, as long as I have my coaches helping me and guiding me, and a couple of guys that can get me into good shape. That's all that I need.
And in terms of the weight cut, I imagine the weight's been pretty low because you didn't fight that long ago and you had plenty of notice for this fight. So I'm sure you've kind of kept the weight pretty even keel.
Yeah, but I'm getting bigger, man.
We all are as we get older,
bigger.
Jack. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be a little bit heavier than usually in this fight. But my weight cut is always super, super easy. So I can't imagine it's going to be any problems, even though I'm a couple of kilos heavier.
Excellent. And how do you see this fight playing out on December 5th? You feel like you're going to get your hand raised, but how do you envision the fight playing out?
I'm envisioning a first round victory again. I want to make a statement. I want to show everybody that I am on the next level. I'm right up there. I'm screaming for that title, and it's too bad that I don't get to fight a guy with a number beside the name. But everybody that's following the sport know that Kevin Holland is a game opponent. He's on a good win streak, and a quick win over him will be a statement for sure.
We talked about the implications of this fight. I know Holland's not ranked. If you had, fought Till and got a win, obviously it would mean a little bit more. I'm assuming you're feeling like you got to take another fight after this because it seems like right now, things are kind of log jammed with Adesanya potentially going up to fight at light heavyweight.
I think that it's very likely that I will need one more. And if that's the case, I want to fight Robert Whittaker or Paulo Costa. Those are the two guys that you need to fight if you want that title shot. So maybe early next year, and then I will fight Adesanya to the winter or something after he's done with that light heavyweight thing.
Okay, so you got it all mapped out. After Glover Teixeira's win on the weekend, did you send him a message and say, "Hey man, why don't you campaign for that title shot so I can get my title shot"?
No, I think the UFC and everybody, it's a done deal. It feels like Adesanya is really gonna do this, and the UFC want him to do it, and they want to create this next superstar. He's big, but they want to make him even bigger. And I think poor Teixeira has to wait a little bit, but man, does he deserve it? It's so cool to see Teixeira fight and to see that he uses his routine and his all of his years into the fighting. He's so smart and he's so composed when he fights. Super impressive win this weekend.
Well, and that's what's so disappointing is that had they waited to announce this Israel Adesanya fight, I mean, we could have had two guys in Blachowicz and Glover that have turned their careers around, and they would have fought, and they're older too. Like, it would have been such a cool story, but big damper now that Adesanya fight's taking place, right?
Yeah, amazing. But at the same time, like light heavyweight right now, they want to make something more exciting happening there because, there were three guys that was really standing out: Gustafsson, Cormier, and Jones. And with those guys, is gone. And even though, Blachowicz is great and Teixeira is great, those guys couldn't hang with that top three guys that went away now. So yeah, it's a little bit of a sad time. Like, it's not as exciting as it was in light heavyweight division. And,
right. So they're trying to spice things up. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, very well said. A couple of weeks ago, we had Anderson Silva fight Uriah Hall. I thought Silva looked pretty good at 45 leading up to the knockout. What did you think of his performance? And do you think it's time for him to call it quits?
It was a great performance, and I was super impressed. And you could see that he was having success when he was putting on the pressure, but at the same time, that was when he was open for the counter. And Uriah Hall is so quick, and he just needs one small opening, and he will catch you. So good for him. But it was a little bit sad, to see Anderson go down there. And to be honest with you, I think that's it for him. I don't want to see him take more punishment. Hopefully, he's good with the money on all of that, and can go back as one of the greatest that sport has seen.
The timing of your fight was interesting because, obviously Kevin Holland stepped up to fight, and I know you wanted a ranked guy, but I noticed Ian Heinisch, he ended up getting out of his fight with Brendan Allen because of COVID. It looks like Allen and him will not have a fight again because Allen's going to be fighting next year. But let's say hypothetically, had your fight not been switched up until maybe another week, would Heinisch have been a more preferred opponent just because he's ranked?
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, I think he's coming off a loss, isn't he?
Well, no, he beat Mershart in the first round in his last fight. But you're right, two losses before that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, then, that would be probably more preferable. And Einish did have some hype for a while, but right now I feel like Kevin Holland is probably the hotter name, but he's unranked, so. I don't know, give or take, it's not such a big difference. I feel, if he's like ranked number 15 or a hyped guy like Holland, it doesn't matter too much.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Jack, again, full credit to you, man, for taking this fight. Like I said, a lot of risk here with the fact that Holland's not a ranked opponent and he's got 4 straight wins. So kudos to you, man. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm glad to see that you're still able to fight this year. I think that's the big thing here. Coming up here December 5th, it is UFC Fight Night. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media? I'll give you the last word.
Thank you so much for the fans. And make sure that you check out Jack the Joker MMA on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And Jack Hermansson is also my YouTube channel, and I will have a cameraman with me following my on my way to Las Vegas and to my fight against Kevin Holland. So check out Jack Hermansson on YouTube, and you will get some really good content for this fight.